Ladies and gentlemen, football is back, and with that comes the weekly heart attacks that we get by being Saints football fans. Through all the adversity, the Saints fought and managed to bring back a win, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But before we get into the negative parts about this game, I just want to talk about some of the good things that happened and what to look forward to in the future. Starting with Talise Fuaga, or Tali Fuaga, there we go. Um, Despite making the switch, earlier in camp to left tackle, I thought he played, fairly well for the snaps that he had. If I'm correct, he played most of the first quarter and then into the second. But there was only really one bad rep from him, and that was on a run to the opposite side where he fell after one of the defenders moved while he was trying to engage. Outside of that, I thought he showed really great footwork, great hand placement, great technique, and then great poise for it being his first NFL game. I'm still somewhat iffy about what Clint Kubiak brings to the table, and that's mostly because there was not much motion, play action, and other things with the starting offense. And we saw it here and there, but just not as much as what was being hyped up during early training camp and when Kubiak was signed. I thought most of the starting defense played really well. They played the entire first quarter, I believe. And from that very moment they stepped foot on the field, they locked it down. Lattimore and Debo, even though they didn't play, Coley McKinstry and Alontae Taylor did, and they both played pretty well. I know Alontae played a little bit on the inside in the slot and also on the outside. So for what we saw last year, I think he's improving in the slot a lot. Kool-Aid played really well also. I thought for a rookie he looked really comfortable. Willie Gabe played a total of 22 snaps, and in those snaps he totaled 4 tackles, one of those being for loss, and half a sack, I believe. Oh no, never mind, not half a sack. I thought he had half a sack. Excuse me. Carl Granderson and Brimsey both also had their own sack, so good for them. The starting defense played really well, even though we didn't see everyone. It was a really good showing from them, and they have given me a lot to be comfortable about going into the season. When the backups came in, I thought that they played well too. Nico Lalos, the preseason legend, had a sack. Jack Heflin had half. A.T. Perry did what most of us fans expected from him and make plays when it was important in games, not in camp. But my special shout out of the week goes to Rico Payton. Rico Payton made a ton of good plays. He had a huge pass deflection on 4th and 2. He had another big deflection where he played through the catch, stripped the ball out of the receiver's hands, and made another huge play on the Hail Mary towards the end of the game after the game-winning drive when the Cardinals had one last shot. Rico Payton is a name that I've been watching since minicamp. He has a real shot of making the 53 if he can become good on special teams and, even work his way up the DB depth chart at some point. He seems to look like a really good, backup for in case someone gets hurt. So that's huge. I'm rooting for him. I also thought Jake Haener looked really comfortable, for someone who's playing with a set of stitches in his face. If all y'all didn't know, just a few days before the game, Haener had a surgery done for a skin condition that was some form of skin cancer. He also made some big-time plays, the most notable being towards the end of the first half, where he threw a 58-yard pass to A.T. Perry. That set Blake Grupe up for a field goal that put the Saints up 6-0 at halftime. So, good on both Grupe, A.T. Perry, and Jake Haener. I thought he looked pretty good. Spencer Rattler played a heck of a game, I would say. His first drive was surgical. On his first pass, he showed his comfortability by throwing a deep pass to A.T. Perry. Now, while it was incomplete, the ball was put only where A.T. could grab it, and a flag was thrown and called DPI. So, good first pass for Spencer Rattler, even though it was incomplete. He then hit Dalen Holker for a nice play action gain, and then from the 4-yard line, he scrambles right, lowers the shoulder, takes a hit, but extends for the touchdown. And that capped off a damn good opening drive. A lot of hope for the future. Even throughout the rest of the game, he didn't really do too much, but at the end of the game, he led a very good game-winning drive. If you haven't seen it, the whole drive is on my channel, so if you haven't, go check that out. Blake Grupe and Charlie Smith both did their thing. Grupe hit 2 field goals and an extra point. But Charlie Smith got his one opportunity. He took it in shine. In his first ever kick, in his first ever American football game, he hits a game winner. And his family was watching in Ireland at 4 in the morning. So that was super fun and a great story to hear about. You know, I'm a big fan of Charlie Smith, and I hope good things for him. I hope he ends up being our kicker because he's got a lot of potential. There were so many things to be happy over, right? So a lot of the things I just mentioned, those are things that most of us would be excited about. But of course, being a Saints fan and being a football fan, there's a lot of things to look forward to in the future. But we gotta look at the bad things now. And I'm just gonna be blunt. That starting offensive line, outside of Talise Fuaga, Eric McCoy, and then sometimes Cesar Ruiz, it looked pretty bad. Lucas Patrick had some good moments, but I also seen a decent bit of bad. And I had heard from a lot of Bears fans that he was not good at all. And I'm starting to agree with them. I think that he has a lot of way to go. And also, not to mention, this was against the second team defense. I could talk about Trevor Penning for hours, but I'm just going to leave it at this. Every snap, watch his feet. Watch his feet. His footwork is some of the most horrible I've ever seen. His hand placement is terrible, and he's always been susceptible to inside moves and guys with speed even. And not to mention, every time he engaged with a defender, he was getting bullied. And again, all against the Cardinals' second team defense. So the Saints need to finally realize that Trevor Penning is a lost cause. And if Dennis Allen is serious about keeping his job, he needs to either bring in another right tackle or someone else who's in camp. It literally cannot get worse than Trevor Penning. I wholeheartedly believe that. Derek Carr. Now, there's a lot of things I could say about Derek Carr as well, but I'm just going to leave it at this. Derek Carr looked pretty bad. I can't tell if it was because of the way the offensive line played or if it's just Carr being Carr. But everything just fell flat. And I honestly think that Dennis Allen should have played the offensive starters more, because I personally don't think that you should have taken them out after seeing those first 2 drives. They need all the playing time they can get over these next 3 weeks, excuse me. You know, we're trying to install a new offense, and it's going to be hard to move the ball down the field if you aren't going to give the offense any real playing time to try it out. They need to play at least another full quarter, because I speak for all Saints fans when I say I don't want to wait for week 14 to see the Saints offense start clicking. Maybe that's just me. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Thank y'all for watching the video. This is just the start of another season of rants after the game. Even though it's a couple days after, we're still getting it done. So, if you guys haven't already, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for all future Saints content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.